4 minutes until showtime. 3 minutes until showtime. 2 minutes until showtime. 1 minute until showtime. Your show will go live in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Insurrection, obstruction, indictments, civilly liable for sexual abuse. The one man responsible for all that could be sitting in a prison cell on election day and still be elected commander-in-chief for these United States. That man is beholden to Putin, weakened NATO the last time around, and is currently tying himself to wealthy Saudi oil money. He enriched himself when government stayed at his properties. He campaigned on wanting to use government to go after his political rivals and wants to expand executive power. If Donald Trump is re-elected, our nation is lost. So let's roll up our sleeves, get to work, and tell the MAGA folks no more before it's too late.
Welcome back to Liberal Dan Radio, Talk from the Left, that's right. This is your host, Dan Zimmerman, coming at you from New Orleans, Louisiana. To join the conversation, it's 914-803-4131. It's 914-803-4131. You can also join the conversation over at liberaldanradio.com, which is the YouTube channel, or twitch.tv/liberaldanradio. If you're listening on Blog Talk Radio, we pretty much just use that as a calling platform and as a soundboard, so I don't monitor the chat that much over there. So if you want to join the chat, just come on over to those two places. Please remember to follow and subscribe as appropriate for free over there. You can also, if you have Amazon Prime, you can subscribe for free. It doesn't cost you a single penny to subscribe for free using your Amazon Prime account. Just link the two. It's very easy to do as long as you don't have an iPhone. Otherwise, you have to be walked through it, I think. We have other ways to support the show, including you can buy me a cider. Go to liberaldan.com, click the Buy Me a Cider button for one-time support, or Venmo Liberal Dan, at Liberal Dan at Venmo. You can be a member over here, a membership on YouTube at Liberal Danimal, which is $1.99 a month. You can buy super chats, super stickers. I believe at this point the game, the the Marvel game is over. I think that campaign has run its course. Assuming they credit me for the thing I did yesterday, I should have hit about 400 of the $2,000 goal that was possible, which, not horrible, could have been better, but, you know, as Donald Trump said about the COVID-19 deaths...
It is what it is.
Thank you, Donald. You know, I'm still a small-time streamer, so I guess I should be happy with what I get. So it's definitely a little good extra padding there in the good old checking account, and it'll help me pay the bills, especially with all of the expenses that are coming in with having to deal with mother-in-law's passing and all of the costs that come with that, because that's the stress that's being dealt with now. It's now that we've dealt with the actual passing, now it's the getting all of the ducks in a row, and I think everything is catching up to me stress-wise when it comes to that, and I've been rather exhausted the last week. It's been awful. I did take the day off on Monday to celebrate my birthday with my family. We did go out to grab... A lot of places in New Orleans, for some reason, are closed Mondays, which is just weird to me. But we did go grab tacos at one of our favorite taco places. Also, it's a place that's good when it comes to gluten-free for my wife because she has celiac. So we were all able to enjoy a good dinner together. Picked up a little treat afterwards. My wife got me a few gifts that will be handy on some of our trips that are coming up. At some point in July, we're going to be going to Disney. We have a July cruise as well for our anniversary. So there may be 2 weeks in July where there's not a lot of Liberal Dan Radio, which is, you know, because we'll be enjoying ourselves. You know, it happens. Trucker John's in the chat. Hey, Trucker John. We've got Steve, Dakota Dave, Chad, Big Hook, Nick Rich, Moms Russo, Jeff. We got Adlo, him back in the chat. Hopefully we don't have to do the big old muting. Jackie joined me for my Lorcana Pack opening stream over on nerdydan.com. Appreciate you for spending time. There was a couple funny moments that took place during that. So thank you so much for joining me and witnessing that, spending a little time with me on Friday night. Nerd Misha, hey, shout out to you. Meet us, Kevin Anderson. Hey, how's it going to you tonight as well? Good to see y'all as well. Thank y'all for joining tonight. We got 19 viewers and 8 likes, so make sure to smash the like button before we smash the patriarchy and smash Donald Trump as well at the polls this coming November, or Rovember, so to speak. We got Moms Russo also in the Twitch chat room as well. Thank you for joining over there as well. Appreciate the views as well. We're way far away from becoming a partner over there, but that's not a realistic goal at this point in time. I'm not worried about that at this point. I'm more worried about hitting 1,000 subs, which I'm about 30 away still at this point, to reach the next level of YouTube partner. Once we hit there, then we can work on other things. So, anyway. Jeff, I always need to be reminded to hit that like button. Well, smash it. Smash it like it owes you money. So, do have a bunch of stuff I want to talk about today. I do have a criticism of Joe Biden today, which, I don't tend to criticize Biden a lot. When I do, I think that, sometimes our own side needs to be criticized. And one example of a criticism that I think Joe Biden needs to take, and I don't know why this is the case, but I found out just the other day after they just floated the ship that crashed into the Key Bridge in Baltimore, I found out that the people who were working on the ship were still on the ship. They were still living on the ship. What? Apparently they had expired visas or something, so for some reason they couldn't, leave the ship because of expired visas. Don't you think we could have done something, made an exception for the people who had just dealt with the fact that their ship just crashed? And the quick thinking, as I understand it, I don't know if any more information has come out about this, if there's any responsibility of the people working for the ship, but as I understand it, they called Mayday and they said that there was a problem and they didn't have control of the vessel and that they were heading towards the bridge, and because they announced it that quickly, the police were able to get the bridge closed and they saved lives. So you're telling me that all this time, from the time that the ship crashed into the bridge, and now they've been sitting on that ship this entire time. I have a problem with that. I have a problem with that. They should have been put up in a hotel. Maybe, the company, I don't think that should show that we should have paid for it. Maybe the company that, maybe they should have been forced to pay for it. The shipping company should have been forced to pay for whatever, but let him get off the ship. Think about it, they were given phones because their phones were confiscated. Outlaw him. Exception so we can pick and choose who breaks the law. It doesn't have to be who breaks the law. You can have them apply for an extension on their visa, and you can expedite the visa process and say, okay, they're going to continue their work because their work continues. They're here on a work visa, right? Well, their work is continuing because their ship crashed. So you can extend their work visa. They're not breaking the law. They're required to stay here because the ship they were working on smashed into a bridge, and they have no other. And let them get off the ship so they can go home or something. Don't make them stay on the ship. I don't think it's that hard of a concept to get. See, Nick Rich, how many of those thousands of containers on board the ship are perishable goods, millions of losses, and damages, and personal trauma? Yeah, there's that. I'm not necessarily worried about the loss of perishable goods. Perishable goods can be replaced. Any goods can be replaced. Adlo him. You cannot break the law, you liberals just don't get it. All right, I'm going to have to record this. Here comes a rant. Because here we go. Adlo him in the chat says, you can't break the law, you liberals just don't get it. Your president, Donald Trump, signed a bill into law that specifically made the mishandling of classified documents from a misdemeanor to a felony with a 5-year felony punishment, 5-year prison term. And he is recorded. He was recorded telling people that he was showing them a classified document, specifically telling them that he could have unclassified that document but he didn't unclassify that document. And these people had no authority to be viewing this document, yet he was showing it to them anyway. He was mishandling, he was showing them classified information that they had no right to view. They had no authority to view. He violated the law that he himself signed into law. So not only is he a law violator, he is a dumbass. And y'all are going to vote for him. So don't tell me that we can't violate the law. No. Your president, the guy that you want back in office, violated the law probably 90 some odd times. And he is on tape or recording having done so at least once. In that particular instance, maybe there was if there was multiple documents that he was showing them, then each document would be a violation of that law, each with a 5-year prison term, each time making himself more and more of a dumbass because he signed the law making it from a misdemeanor into a felony with a 5-year prison term. Y'all will turn the other way as Donald Trump breaks the law left and right. Yet, when I suggest that somebody on a ship that crashed should have had their visas extended, not a violation of the law, mind you, but they should have processed a visa extension because their job here was extended because of an accident that took place. You're saying that I'm saying that they should violate the law, that we should allow them to violate the law. No, that is a bad argument. That is a terrible argument. And you need to do better. Fat man rants! That's another fat man rant. He is not immune. Okay. Although him says Trump is immune. He is not immune. If Trump is immune, then why is Trump campaigning on the idea that he wants to prosecute Biden as soon as he gets into office? Trump is campaigning that he wants to prosecute Joe Biden, the president, for things he's done in office as soon as he gets into office. That he's going to have his DOJ investigate not just Hunter Biden, but Joe Biden. If Donald Trump is immune as president, then Joe Biden is immune as president too. Can't have it both ways. You can't sit here and say, I am immune from everything because I should have total complete immunity, and then say you're going to prosecute the president who's currently sitting in office. You can't say that you have to impeach the president first before you can prosecute them, and then prosecute Joe Biden without an impeachment, with a conviction. Again, you can't have it both ways. And there's nothing that says that he's immune. You're getting your information from wrong places. You need to change where you get your information from. Because there's nothing in the Constitution that says that the president is immune for actions, specifically actions that have nothing to do with his job as president. And when it comes to the mishandling of classified information after he's president, he's not immune to that because he's no longer president. And if you're going to say that he can declassify information with a thought, because I'm sure either you're saying that right now and I'm not looking at chat, or you're going to say that because that's the next line that usually comes out of y'all's mouths. Classified documents have more than one copy typically. Like there could be electronic copies, there could be other hard paper copies. So if Donald Trump has one hard paper copy of the several that might exist out there, and he with his mind says, this one's declassified, well, how are the other people supposed to know? You can't just have the Schrodinger's cat argument of whether or not a paper is classified or declassified, whether or not the president thought or not. You need some sort of paper trail as it pertains to whether or not a document is declassified or not, like an executive order. Like Donald Trump very well could have said, here's an executive order, I'm going to declassify this document. And then let everybody know that this document is declassified so that everybody who has that classified document, electronically or otherwise, would, okay, this is now declassified. Cool. We don't have to treat it as it's classified. But when it comes to Donald Trump at Bedminster showing people who don't have the right to view classified information, who don't have the authority to view classified information, but yet he's showing them that classified information, he's not immune because he was no longer president. And he said that he could have declassified it, but he said he didn't. He violated the law. His own law. He is not immune. If he wants to claim that a president is immune, well, guess what? He wasn't president when he did that. He was the former president at that point. And he said that he could have but did not declassify that document. So he was showing them classified information in violation of the very same law that he signed. That is the pure definition of a dumbass. I don't require my presidents to be the most smartest people in the world. They don't have to be. That's what they have advisors for. You don't have to know everything about infrastructure. You get infrastructure experts for that. You don't have to know everything about medicine. That's what you have, people who are medical advisors for that. You don't know everything about military. That's why you have military advisors. But you have to have a modicum of intelligence to be able to understand, certain things. And you should be able to know that if you sign something in the law, don't break your own law. But that's what Republicans do. These Republican politicians push to pass laws because they know that they can't follow them. Larry Craig in the bathroom, very staunch anti-homosexual person, pushes for laws to ban homosexual acts, starts tapping somebody's toe underneath the stall because he wants to have a little hanky-panky in the airport restroom. David Vitter, Louisiana senator, ran for governor, pushing for all these morality bills, morality laws, commits serious sins with hookers in Louisiana. Why? Why does he need the laws? Why does he need the state to pass laws to do it? Because he can't control himself. Same thing with Donald Trump. Donald Trump can't control himself. He needs government to tell him, to control him, and tell him to not show people classified documents. But yet he still does, even though he signed the law himself, guess what? It still didn't help, and he still showed people the classified documents that he was not allowed to show people. And no, he was not immune. Hilarious. Hilarious. Let's scroll back now, see what I missed. See if I was right. Taco place near here has gator tacos, elk tacos, and they are the shit. Awesome. Big Hook. Have you heard the term that something is the shit? Because I remember one time I was talking to somebody from Canada, like back when I was in college, and I told that person that they were the shit, and they were like, "What did you call me?" Apparently, back at that time, they didn't have that saying in Canada, and she was pissed off. I'll ad him. What crime did Trump commit? I mean, I think I just spelled out one of the crimes that Trump committed, clearly and succinctly. The prosecution rests. I mean, I'm sure I'll be able to claim right now. Wait, Adlo him says you cannot do that. Then I don't know what you cannot do. I think that's going back to the extending of the visa. I'm sure you very well can extend a visa. Let's see. Can you extend a work visa for a foreign worker? You can request to extend your stay by contacting USCIS. Visit UCIS Extend Your Stay website for more information. Yes, a foreign worker's visa can be extended in the United States if they meet certain criteria and file a request with U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services before their visa expires. Okay, so that have been lawfully admitted to the United States on a non-immigrant visa, have a valid non-immigrant visa status, have not committed any crimes that make them ineligible, have not violated terms of their missions, have a valid passport that would remain valid for the duration of their stay. So they could have done it beforehand. If they would have known that their visa was going to expire, they could have had an extension given at that time. So yes, it would have been allowed. Maybe you need to inform yourself of the law. Big Hug, was I included in the latest batch of student loans forgiven? I do not believe so. I don't think I'm there yet. I think I need more months of payments before I would get to the point where my loans would be forgiven. I think if my math is correct, I haven't even been adjusted yet, because there's two things. They're doing the adjustments to basically say all the time spent in like forbearance. They're adjusting the time spent in forbearance to reduce the months left in repayment. I haven't had that done yet. So once that's done, I'll have a better understanding of where I might be when it comes to that. So I'm assuming that it should be sometime next year when that happens. I don't know, but that's a guesstimate based off of my time. That looking at they don't make it very easy. There's like a raw data that you could download and you kind of look at it, but I can also kind of look back at the time that I spent like in school and out of school and in repayment, and I could be like, okay, well this time was spent in repayment, and this time was spent in repayment, and this time was spent in forbearance, and this was administrative forbearance, and this was the COVID forbearance, and I think if I add all those up, I think it puts me somewhere in late 2025 where I would have my loans forgiven. I don't know, though. That's my best guess. Dan, I've never been so ready. I hope my rant lived up to your excitement. Hey, Aaron, good to see you. I did see the hello there, but I was mid-rant, so I didn't want to stop the rant to say hello. Sorry I'm late. I was showering and lost track of time. Let's see. Might not have been an accident even if they called the SOS. It might. I don't think it was a purposeful thing. Adlohim, why Hillary was not what? Prosecuted for the document mishandling because of her emails. I'll give you a statement about it, and then I'll give you a question about it. A, when Hillary Clinton was alleged to have mishandled her classified documents, it was only a misdemeanor. Hence, why Donald Trump and the Republicans pushed to change it from a misdemeanor to a felony. I mean, that's why they did that. So I'm guessing that the Trump Department of Justice, over the 4 years of him being president, looked at it and said, you know what? This wouldn't be worth our time. This would not be worth our time for us to pursue because it's only a misdemeanor. So let's go ahead and make it a felony so that anybody in the future who violates this law can be prosecuted with a felony instead of just a misdemeanor, and therefore we'll have more teeth to go after violators of this law. And then the dumbass goes and violates the law himself. But you should ask the Donald Trump administration, representatives of the Donald Trump administration. Go ask Rakita Law. Go ask them. That's a conservative YouTube channel that deals with the law all the time. Ask them why the Trump Department of Justice for 4 years failed to go after Hillary Clinton. If she was so guilty of the crimes that Donald Trump accused her of, why for 4 years did he not go after her after campaigning on lock her up, lock her up? Why did they not go after Hillary Clinton for 4 years? Why? Maybe they knew that there was no case. Maybe it wasn't just simply that it was only a misdemeanor. Maybe they knew that there was no case at all. Maybe they looked at the data and was like, you know what? For all the campaign rhetoric that you've used, there's no case. Mish, well, to be fair, he can say those things because he is insane. Not correct, but insane nonetheless. Nice. The willingness of the contrary troll to fight back should be commended. Good effort regardless of the substance. I mean, I would appreciate if, while being contrarian, they would be unique or different or creative or bring up something that we haven't heard yet. Because these are all things we've heard already. Like, I want to hear something new. Jeff Curry, they found more documents in his bedroom. Who was they? They'd probably find more documents if they exhumed the body of Ivana. Thank you, Mish. You're awesome. Thank you for gifting memberships. You are totally awesome. My audio just dropped significantly. I probably just moved the microphone away. Either that or I stopped yelling. Article 2, Section 353. All right, let's look up the argument that you're making. I'm sure with this. Article 2, Section 3. Doop-a-doop-a-doo. Article 2, Section 3. I don't think they've been, let's see. I don't think we want that page. That page is not giving us. Let's go to Article 2. Section 1. Section 2. Section 3. Are you sure you got the article right? Article 2, Section 3. 5-3. I don't think you have it right. Article 1, Section 3. I don't think you have it even anywhere right. Not one bit. Let's see. Output. This did. Come on. That might have made it a little better. Immunity. But yeah, but Aaron is correct in that when he did what he did, at Bedminster, he wasn't even president. So even if you want to claim that the president has immunity while president, he wasn't president when he was showing the classified documents at Bedminster. So it wouldn't matter if the president had qualified immunity for actions done while president. He wasn't president. See, Article 2, Section 351. Is that what you're trying to say? He shall from time to time give Congress information to State Union recommending their consideration of such measures. He shall judge necessary or expedient. He may, on extraordinary occasions, convene both houses. In case disagreement with him with respect to time adjournment, he may adjourn them from time to time. See ambassadors, blah, 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 blah. That's one. That's not... In Mississippi, Judge Johnson, the Supreme Court established that the president is largely beyond the reach of the judiciary by holding it could not direct President Andrew Johnson in how he exercises purely executive and political powers. The court stated it had no jurisdiction to enjoin the president in the performance of his official duties. In subsequent decisions, the court made clear that Johnson does not stand for the proposition that the president is immune from judicial process. For example, in the United States v. Nixon, the court held that President Richard Nixon was amenable to a subpoena to produce evidence for use in a federal criminal case. There, the president had argued that he was immune to judicial process, claiming the independence of the executive branch within its own sphere insulates the president from a judicial subpoena in an ongoing criminal prosecution. The Supreme Court unanimously disagreed, holding that neither the doctrine of separation of powers nor the need for confidentiality of high-level communications without more can sustain an absolute unqualified presidential privilege of immunity from judicial process under all circumstances. So no, you're absolutely wrong. Boom, done. Mic drop. Thank you, Tim, for the happy birthday wish. Yeah, Steve, only mods and myself can post links. What's up, Marie? Good to see you. Thank you for joining. What's up, 5 Eggs? You clearly do not understand the law. Deflecting much? Jeff, showering and lost track of time. My gutter mind is acting up. You, me, same. To use the meme from Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. Or somebody's complaining about me allowing a troll to direct the chat. That's fine. You know, it's just like, you know, I could take a conservative video and respond to a conservative video, or can respond to a conservative troll. Either way, it is what it is. Let's see. Had a bank customer lady that died with no family. Her ashes brought to bank and sat on my desk. It was heavier than I expected. Huh. See, Aldo makes him a non-criminal actor to conduct a crime after the defendant's act or conduct is complete. The law, a defendant cannot be held criminally liable for conduct which was legal at the time of his event. But he wasn't. Even if you want to say that the president has absolute immunity while president, when he showed the document, let me slow this down for you. When he showed the documents to the people who didn't have the ability to view them at Bedminster, he was no longer president. Therefore, he would not have him even if presidents had absolute 100% total immunity while president, he was not president when he showed those documents to those people. And as such, he was mishandling classified documents, and as such, he violated the law. It doesn't matter even if it was legal for him to take the documents, even if it was legal for him to have the documents, it would have been illegal for him to show the documents to people who were not qualified to see them. Period. And he said specifically on that audio that he could have declassified the information, but he did not. He did not declassify that audio. Declassify those documents. He specifically said that, let's see, I think this is the audio.
These are bad, sick people.
That was your coup, against you.
Well, it started right at the
like when
beginning.
Millie's talking about, you were going to try to do a coup. No, they were trying to do that before you even were sworn in. That's right. Trying to overthrow your election.
Well, with Millie, let me see that. I'll show you an example. He said that I wanted to attack Iran. Isn't it amazing? I have a big pile of papers. This thing just came up. Look. This was him. They presented me this. This is off the record, but they presented me this. This was him. This was the Defense Department and him. Wow. We looked at him. This was him. This wasn't done by me. This was him. All sorts of stuff. It's pages long. Look. Wait a minute. Let's see here.
Yeah.
I guess, isn't that amazing? This totally wins my case,
Mm-hmm.
Except it is like highly confidential, secret. This is secret information. But look at this. You attack, and
Hillary would print that out all the time,
she'd send it to Anthony Weiner, the pervert. By the way, isn't that incredible?
Yeah.
I was just saying, because we were talking about it, and he said he wanted to attack Iran and what? These are the papers. This was done by the military, given to me. I think we can probably, right?
I don't know. We'll have to see. Yeah, we'll have to try to figure out
As president, I could have declassified it. Now I can't, but this is
now we have a problem.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
It's so cool. It's so, here I have, and you probably almost didn't believe me, but now you believe me.
No, I believe
it's incredible, right?
No,
hey, bring some Cokes in, please.
So, clearly he said, when I was president, I could have declassified it, but now I can't. He's showing them information. He says, and he goes at the beginning, this is all off the record, because he knows he's doing a no-no. He's being a bad little boy. He's showing them information that he has no authority to be showing them because they don't have the authority to view the documents because it's secret, it's classified. He says these documents are secret, they're classified. And for every document that he's showing these people, that's a 5-year felony jail sentence. 5 years in prison. For every document, every individual document that he's showing them should be 5 years for him in prison for the law that he signed himself. But no, you're going to say he didn't violate a law. No, it's not lawfare, as they're trying to say. He broke the law, and he should be punished. And you know what? If Hunter Biden broke the law, sure, he should be punished too. And guess what? Joe Biden is doing nothing to stop the legal process from investigating and going after. Joe Biden even kept the prosecutor that was going after Hunter Biden, that was hired by Trump, to go out to let him to continue to do his job. Do you believe for 1 second that if one of Donald Trump's corrupt kids were being investigated by the Department of Justice and Donald Trump was president, that Donald Trump wouldn't fire that person immediately and stop the investigation? But no, Joe Biden has integrity. Joe Biden is going to sit there and let the legal process play itself out and allow Hunter Biden to actually, his own child, to go through the motions of dealing with the legal ramifications of his own actions. Joe Biden is not using his power as president to prevent his own child from going through a criminal process. Donald Trump would have used his power to shield his kid, despite whatever they might have done criminally. What was unlawful about obtaining evidence? What was unlawful about this audio? Benny Loco, I disagree. MAGA is absolutely a political party. The Republican Party has become the MAGA party. It is owned, a fully owned subsidiary of Donald Trump. There is nothing that they've been, if they haven't, they were corrupted another way beforehand, but the Republican Party has been fully corrupted now by Trump and the MAGA cult. So reporter Jeff, as soon as he comes up to talk, I say off the record, he knew I'd say some silly stuff at some point. I'd been known to do that from time to time. Yep. All he had to do was give the documents back and nothing would have happened to him. Exactly, Chris. It's exactly right. Because Joe Biden had documents, he gave them all back, and nothing happened. Mike Pence had documents, he gave them all back, nothing happened. Donald Trump had documents, had Donald Trump gave them all back, nothing would have happened. But the problem is always with it's the cover-up is always the problem. Because Donald Trump not just didn't give them all back, he then lied. He instructed his own attorneys to lie, to say that here's all the documents, and then hid the other documents. And then he brought others to Bedminster. I'm sure there are some that are buried with Ivana. The man is corrupt as the day is long. But his MAGA shills are going to continue to make apologies for him because they will refuse to see it. They'll bury their heads in the sand and won't give a rat's ass about whatever he does. They'll never admit they're wrong for supporting him. Never. Doesn't matter what dumbass thing he does, too. Go back to the frickin' deposition in the E. Jean Carroll case. He had the perfect opportunity to not be a dumbass. Twice. They showed him a picture of E. Jean Carroll. Who is this woman? Do you recognize this woman? He could have just simply said, I have no idea who that is. He didn't just say that. He could have said it was E. Jean Carroll. He says that's Marla. He confused E. Jean Carroll for Marla Maples. He was saying that he was not attracted to E. Jean Carroll. Instead, he confuses E. Jean Carroll back then with the woman that he cheated on his first wife with. And then, when he's asked on tape, again, being recorded, he's asked about his comments to Access Hollywood recording about grabbing him by the hoo-ha. He had the perfect opportunity to just I was just joking around. I was just kidding. It was really just locker room talk. I really don't believe that people should be growing up to people and grabbing them by the hoo-ha or whatever. Did he do that? No. On deposition, he was like, yeah, people who are rich have been doing it for millions of years and they'll continue to do it. Double down on his stupidity. Why would you do that? Unless you're just that much of a horrible person. Yes, they're thick as a brick. Sorry. Benny Loco, you should, again, as I've said to everybody, address the arguments that are being made by the individual. Don't attack the individual themselves. I will say that that's the rules of the chat. Address what the person is saying. Don't attack the person. So, you can attack MAGA in general for being a bunch of stupid dumb shits, But if you're dealing with an individual person and what they're saying, address what they're saying, not the person. That applies to everybody in chat, please. So, anyway, I think I have fully addressed the Donald Trump ridiculousness, and we have plenty of other stuff that we need to talk about today. I did talk a little bit about I plan to just have a little 2-minute segment of me criticizing Joe Biden about, not allowing those people off the ship, and that turned into a 45-minute discussion of how much of a piece of shit Donald Trump is. Now, let's talk about how much of a piece of crap Alito is, huh? Alitos. So it came out, I guess before my birthday, that Alito had been flying an upside-down flag in front of his house on or after January 6th or around January 6th. And he blamed his wife for it, and his wife claimed it was because of a neighbor and not because of the insurrection and or the election denialism. So, Aldo, don't escalate either. Don't escalate. Don't attack the person and don't escalate. That's the other thing. Don't be a Gibson. So then it came out that Alito at his beach house was flying a different flag that was flown, I guess like the pine flag or whatever, that was flown during the revolution, that has also been picked up and flown by the insurrectionists and other election deniers. So at what point does this court become irrelevant? At what point do the jurists on the court, do the justices on this court become irrelevant? I mean, we've talked about Sam Alito on this show a lot because how his rulings are absolutely horrid. Not just for the fact that they're bad in that I disagree with them, because I've disagreed with other people's rulings and have not said that they're poorly written, but his rulings are poorly written. And we've discussed this a lot before. But we already talked about how Clarence Thomas is corrupt. We've talked about that with his wife and his wife's connections to the insurrectionists. Now we have Sam Alito showing that he is supporting the insurrectionists with the flying of his flags. And there's evidence now 2 times of him flying flags. Oh, it's my wife. Nice way to throw your wife under the bus, by the way. Guess he doesn't want to lose his job, or I guess he doesn't want to be admonished or viewed as being whatever. But why would you do that in the first place? Why don't you have a conversation? If it really was just your wife, why don't you have a conversation with, be like, I understand that, have a conversation, be like, I understand that you don't like the president, I don't like the president either, if that's what you would say. You might say, if you're Sam Alito, we don't agree with the results of the election, but I'm a member of the Supreme Court, so I can't be seen as taking a side on the insurrection as to whether or not the election is legitimate, especially because there's going to be court cases that are coming our way, and we're going to be hearing cases pertaining to these insurrectionists and to Donald Trump's immunity and all this other stuff. So it would be best if I don't have any apparent seen bias towards this issue. But no, they flew the flag high and wide, and they let everybody see how they feel about it. And I'm sure somebody's going to say, it's the First Amendment. Well, sure, everybody has the First Amendment right to do whatever it is they want to do, I guess, unless you're civil service. But you gotta give the impression that you, as a Supreme Court justice, are going to give at least some semblance of fairness when you're going to listen to case. Well, I mean, we all know that Alito's not going to do that. We all know that Alito is, for the most part, going to be a partisan hack douchebag. So we can't expect him to act any different in his personal life. But you can still be critical of him for, again, not being smart about it. This is just not being smart day. Hey, what's up, Kimchi? Good to see you. So yeah, I mean, a lot of people have covered this on the news. It's just, I just, why would you be that dumb? But again, it's Alito. Alito's the same person who said in Dobbs v. Jackson that abortion isn't stated in the Constitution, so therefore it's not a right, when we have the Ninth Amendment that says the enumeration in the Constitution of certain rights shall not be construed to deny or disparage others retained by the people. And as such, you know, him saying that means that he doesn't know the Ninth Amendment. Why do we have a Supreme Court justice that doesn't know the Ninth Amendment? How can you become a lawyer, let alone a Supreme Court justice, without knowing the Ninth Amendment? Doesn't make sense. Trucker John, SCOTUS became irrelevant since Moscow Mitch denied Obama his picks. That's a fair point. Although, yes, Gibson is somebody from the past. He's somebody from the past. From the past. I still don't believe that you're not him. But, you know. Wait, I scrolled too far down. I'm not there. I'm not at the point where I can just click what I want to click. There it is.
It is what it is.
Thank you, Donald. Hey, Jojo Mojo. Good to see you. Thank you for joining. So, there's that. We still haven't got to the main juicy part of the night. We got the nice Congresswoman Crockett. Jasmine Crockett, hero to the left, who, you know, EmptyGee, as I like to refer, not MTG, but EmptyGee. Well, I have a motion to call her just 6B or 6B EmptyGee, because Marjorie Taylor Greene started it in the House of Congress by referring to Large Marge's Large Marge started by referring to Jasmine Crockett's fake eyelashes, and maybe she couldn't read something through her fake eyelashes, and which is a personal attack and not allowed. But they would not strike it from the record. They kept motioning to strike it from the record, and the Republican leader of the committee would not strike it from the record. So Jasmine Crockett had a point of order and wanted to know whether or not it would be okay for her to refer to another member of the committee as having a beach blonde, bad-built butch body. Or, as I've said, 6B. And which just made some people crack up, including the esteemed congressman from Maryland, Jamie Raskin. I believe it was him that was laughing. And of course, Marjorie Taylor Greene had to respond, was like, "I'm almost 50, and I like to lift weights in my gym, and blah blah blah. And I'm going to show you how I lift weights because I do CrossFit. And you know, the one thing about people with CrossFit is, just like the people who are vegans, they'll let you know that they do CrossFit and that they're vegans, But the thing is that the Republicans who are elected officials in the House love to dish it out, but they sure as hell can't take it. She should have been old 6B should have been my hypocrite of the week, but I didn't necessarily have time to make it this week. Because she'll dish out the insults all day long. All day long. But the moment somebody insults her back, she gets all offended and high and mighty and righteous. How dare she say that about me? I'm going to prove that I have a good body. Well, I mean, it must be good enough for the people in the gym to cuckold her husband with, but, you know, I can't imagine wanting, I mean, I don't care what you look like. That's ugly. She's ugly to her core, just political-wise. Yes, Aaron is correct. Please, nobody make trans jokes about EmptyGee. You can call her a Cabbage Patch doll if you want, but yeah, no trans jokes. 6B all you want. Midas, I like when AOC stepped in and said, "Oh, did you not just go there and want to play?" I was chanting "fight" in my head. Yes, I would love to see a debate between AOC and EmptyGee, because if it was moderated properly, AOC would own EmptyGee. I mean, own to the point where, like, it would be, you would have to call in the 13th Amendment, because they would say this is now illegal. Because you've gotten owned so far, so badly owned, that it has violated the 13th Amendment. $5 on AOC. I'm not taking that bet. I mean, I'm not betting against AOC, if that's what I mean. Ain't no way I'm betting against AOC in that one. Half defrosted. Well, I mean, there is a resemblance to one of the cave people in the museums, right? There was another person. Speaking of the terror squad, the treason squad or whatever, the Sinister Six. That's what they should call them. They should call them the Sinister Six, like Large Marge and Bobo the Clown and Pizza Gates. They should call them the Sinister Six. And Bobo the Clown was outside of the Trump trial, and somebody walked up to Bobo the Clown as she was giving her mind your headsets, by the way. Somebody walked up to Bobo the Clown while she was giving her speech and tried to get her to sign a Beetlejuice play booklet thing or whatever. And I'm like, you know what? You really got to give that guy a hand. Sorry. I warned you. Watch your headsets. So, and yes, we also don't use the R. Who used the R word? R. That's a damn shame. That is also not a good word to use. You do not use the R word as an insult. This is not the 80s or the 90s, like, you know, where that sort of thing was accepted. I don't even know if this was acceptable back then, but it shouldn't be acceptable now. Hey, Hugger Greeter TK, good to see you. So just, you know, don't use slurs. How about that? No slurs. Anyway. So, I love, I just had to make the joke about giving somebody a hand, because, you know, that's what Bubba the Clown did during the whatchamacallit. What's the R word? When somebody has a mental disability, that R word. So, hey Ken QB, good to see you as well. So now that we're actually done with all the little side things I want to talk about, and we're an hour into the show, I wanted to, yes, mental illness slurs, yes. Kim, you kicked yourself out of chat. Good job. Now, an hour, I was expecting the first 4 things I wanted to talk about to be a good 15 minutes, just to let people flow in, and it lasted a good whole hour. So that just goes to show how long I could talk about stuff. And so the main topic of the show is all-you-can-eat capitalism. So what do I mean by all-you-can-eat capitalism? It's when capitalism takes you and takes things and gobbles them up and spits them out and gets no blame for it. And the greedy capitalists are able to do things that should be considered illegal, but are not, or are able to get away with things because they manipulate the system in such a way that enable them to get away with things that they should not be able to get away with. And they walk away scot-free. And if you and I tried to do that as regular people without the tools that the millionaires and billionaires use, we'd be arrested for fraud. We'd be arrested quickly. But let's go back in time. If we're gonna steal from Wayne's World, we'll do the go back in time. Remember Bain Capital, KB Toys? Remember that? Let's do a quick review of what happened there. Because the Red Lobster thing is not exactly the same, but there's some similarities. But let's review what Bain Capital was able to do with KB Toys. They basically did a leveraged buyout. What's a leveraged buyout? Leveraged buyout means they like put up $20 million of their own, of Bain Capital's money as like a down payment, and then they used the equity of the holdings and of that KB Toys held across the country or the world or whatever as leverage for the loan. They said, okay, we're gonna what we own, what KB Toys owns is gonna be what leverages the rest of this loan. Not what Bain Capital owns, but what this corporation owns is gonna be what secures this loan. Right? That's very important. It's not what Bain Capital owns, it's what KB Toys owns. So then Bain Capital goes off and starts selling off things left and right from KB Toys. Fire sale, everything has to go, everything must go. They start stripping everything off of KB Toys left and right. KB Toys does a nosedive into the ground, KB Toys dies. But as they're selling things off left and right, they're able, the management of KB Toys is able to get themselves to recoup the $20 million plus some, give themselves nice bonuses because they were able to get money, pay themselves back plus much, much more. But then when they have to default on the loan because they no longer can pay the loan, KB Toys declares bankruptcy, loan goes away in bankruptcy. KB Toys goes away. What is this like? What can I liken this to? So let's say I created the Liberal Dan car buying corporation, right? So I start this corporation specifically for the purpose of buying an automobile. I put $2,000 down into buying some, like a Tesla or something. I don't know. I just use Tesla just because. Expensive car. Maybe I bought, maybe 5,000. I don't know. The corporation buys the car. The corporation then is the one that owns the car and is going to be making payments on this car, right? So the loan is in the name of the corporation, not me. And I put down $2,000. I then start selling off parts of this car. And let's say I make 50 grand off of the parts of the car. Let's say the car is worth 100 grand. I make 50 grand selling off parts of the car. So a door here, a door there, the engine here, tires there. I sell all the parts of the car off. I pay myself a nice little chunk, a nice little bonus. I recoup my $2,000. My corporation's like, well, we can't afford to make this payment anymore. Corporation goes away, loan goes away. And there's nothing more to take, well, because there's no more car either. You'd think I should go to jail for that. Maybe I would go to jail for that. But the people who run Bain Capital didn't go to jail for what they did to KB Toys. 56ers capital gains due now. Well, they're due now, but they're taxed at like 5 or 8% as compared to the 30% that another person would have to pay if they were paid an income tax, and except for the fact that rich people, instead of taking that money as actual income, they might take stock options instead, and they'll take the stocks and instead they'll take out a loan and only pay the interest on that loan, and they'll play other shenanigans with that as well, so they know they'll manipulate the system even more as well. But that's not the point of the conversation. So, why did Red Lobster die? If you were to listen to everybody in the media, for the most part, and most of you are probably smart enough to not, you would think it was the all-you-can-eat shrimp, because everybody's been running with that. All-you-can-eat shrimp killed Red Lobster. They, instead of having it be a once-a-week thing or a seasonal thing or a special thing during the summer or for a little time of the year, like, hey, it's all-you-can-eat shrimp day or whatever, instead of doing it, they made it all the time during this particular time, and then people were running to Red Lobster and trying to see just how many shrimp they could eat. And they were posting it on TikTok, and Red Lobster was taking a loss from all these squimps that were being eaten. And the media would have you believe that this was the problem. Jeff, I did not like Red Lobster. Red Lobster seafood, not the best, especially when it comes to, I live in Louisiana and I've lived in Baltimore, and the seafood other places are far superior. However, Cheddar Bay biscuits are the bomb. That being said, it is not the all-you-can-eat shrimp that killed Red Lobster. And the people that are telling you that are just trying to cover up the corporate shenanigans that have taken place. So what happened? Back in 2014, I'm reading this from the PR News Wire. Darden announces sale of Red Lobster to Golden Gate Capital for $2.1 billion. So Darden was the company that owned Red Lobster, owned Olive Garden, stuff like that. There was lots of different options that could have taken place as to how this Darden Restaurants was going to sell off Red Lobster to this other investment firm or whatever, the Golden Gate Capital or whatever, for $2.1 billion. They had other options that they might have done, other potential ways to spin it off. But the way that they ultimately ended up doing, Golden Gate Capital obtained the everything for $2.1 billion. And so Darden used that, $1 billion of it, to retire outstanding debt. They used some of it to do share repurchasing. They paid out some dividends to shareholders, and they were able to actually use some of that money that was remaining to be awash with cash so that they survived even throughout the pandemic for like Olive Garden and stuff like that. So they survived. The Olive Garden happened to do fine during the pandemic because of these maneuvers or whatever. Or Darden restaurants did fine because they were able to shift Red Lobster to somebody else. So what happened is this, as I understand it to the best of my ability, Golden Gate Capital purchases Red Lobster, including, I guess, some of the debt as well. But then what they also end up doing is, because Red Lobster, before this happened, owned all of the real estate that every Red Lobster sat on. So all they had to do, I guess, was pay property taxes and I guess insurance every year. And they would be fine. I guess maybe they would have to pay repairs or whatever. The normal costs that come with owning an establishment. Fine. Normal. But what Golden Gate Capital did was, instead of keeping that land as well as the businesses, they executed a separate, what they're calling sale leaseback agreement, and they sold the land. They sold the properties to another entity, so that now they got money from that for their own benefit, for their benefit. But now these Red Lobsters have to pay rent when they didn't have to pay rent before. So they added to the costs of the operating costs of Red Lobster. Each Red Lobster now has increased operating costs that it didn't have before, because now they have to pay rent. So if you have a Red Lobster in a poorly operating area, previously you might have been able to survive a bad year because you didn't have to worry about rent. Now you have to worry about rent. You have to pay the lease. Meanwhile, the company that was able to sell off all that land was able to use that money for other things. And then that company, Golden Gate Capital, sold Red Lobsters off to another company. And now you end up with this company in 2020 gets sold to a Thailand-based seafood company who owns companies like Chicken of the Sea. And then they tried doing a bunch of cost-cutting measures or whatever. But Red Lobster was already saddled with debt. Why were they saddled with debt? Because Golden Gate, again, to the best of my understanding, was able to take the land that they just purchased from Darden restaurants, flip him back and flip him back and sell that land so that the Red Lobsters now have to pay rent, and use that money to fund other things and probably pay themselves bonuses as well, saddling the Red Lobster Corporation with more debt. So now Red Lobster has to file bankruptcy at this point. Why? Because they saddled it with so much debt. I guarantee you that the amount of money that they lost from TikTok users challenging each other to post their all-you-can-eat shrimp videos is infinitesimal compared to the amount of money that was sucked out of the Red Lobster Corporation because of these corporate shenanigans. It was never about the shrimp. The shrimp is just the smokescreen. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. The shrimp is the smokescreen to hide the corporate shenanigans, because they never want you to see the corporate shenanigans. They'll lie to you. They'll tell, like when they passed that thing, the tax bill where to allow corporations to repatriate their funds. But Donald Trump, I think, passed part of that. It was like, let's let them repatriate their funds and let them do it tax-free. And then, they won't use it to do stock buybacks. Trust us, and we won't lay people off. We'll give people bonuses. Nobody got bonuses. People didn't get bonuses, and they did stock buybacks. Exactly like we said that they would. Why? Because they're predictable. The corporations are always going to do as much as they can to suck as much out of the corporation as possible before letting it dwindle and die. Which is why Donald Trump doesn't care about all of the bankruptcies that he's had. He doesn't view those businesses as failed businesses. He probably views all those bankruptcies as successful business ventures, because as those businesses dwindled on the vine and died, and while all of those people who those businesses owed money to suffered because they were no longer able to get money from him, he was able to take bonuses, and he was able to take money from these businesses and earn money hand over fist. While the people that he owed money to via these businesses suffered. And that's not even talking about the people who he specifically stiffed in businesses that still exist. That's just talking about the ones in the companies that he declared bankruptcy with. That he used the bankruptcy laws, when he used the bankruptcy laws, to enrich himself. He'd rather start a new business and then make a bunch of money with it and then run into the ground and use his golden parachute and then start another business, lather, rinse, repeat, than have a profitable business. But yet, and then he'll get away with, and then his supporters, this is the kicker. His supporters will say, that makes him a smart businessman. That makes him an intelligent businessman. He's smart for using the laws to his advantage. Well, in using the law to his advantage, he hurts other people. I don't give a crap about the banks that he hurts. I mean, whatever. But there are people who does work for him that he no longer has to pay because his business has declared bankruptcy. So he doesn't have to pay the independent contractor he hired to do his floors, or the people who he might owe salaries to that he no longer has to pay because, they're insolvent. His business, Trump Steaks, is insolvent now, so he doesn't have to pay anything out. Boo-hoo. Meanwhile, he's driving away in another rich, fancy car. He's getting ready to purchase another mail-order bride once Melania gets too old. Meanwhile, those same Trump supporters will tell everybody who are getting student loan forgiveness that they should pay back their loans. Even though every single federal student loan agreement, every single federal student loan promissory note includes a provision that says, if you do X, Y, and Z, you can have your student loan paid off or forgiven. And it's not taking advantage of some small business person who just waxed your floors, or some small business person who installed your windows or whatever, supplied your furniture for your business. This is just having the federal government is holding the loans at that point. So you're just having the federal government say, okay, you no longer have to pay it back anymore because you met the requirements that you agreed to when you signed this promissory note. So the only person you're screwing over is the federal government that has already expended the money to acquire the loan. And these numbskulls will sit here and berate these students. Why don't you pay back your loan? But yet they won't say the same damn thing to Donald Trump. Why don't you pay back the people who your businesses were in debt to when you declared bankruptcy? Why don't you pay back the people that you stiffed when you told them, well, I'm only going to pay you X amount instead of the full amount. Sue me if you want more. Oh, the cost of suing me is going to cost you more than the difference? Oh, well. I mean, at some point, there becomes a point where if you do business with Donald Trump, you're a dumbass. Because why would you, knowing now what Donald Trump does, why on earth would you do business with Donald Trump? Unless you got payment in full up front. The only way that any business should be doing business with Donald Trump is to get full payment up front. 100%. Otherwise, don't do it. Because can't trust him. Can't trust him. Trust him even less than any other politician that's out there. Can QB or themselves with PPP loans. So, I mean, PPP loans were advertised as always going to be forgiven. It's the people that took the PPP loans who weren't supposed to that screwed over the small business people and the independent contractors who were then not able to get PPP loans. I fortunately was paying attention to the whole thing and was able to get my PPP loans because I was an independent contractor. So I was able to, I was on top of that crap and I made sure I got mines. And I got mine forgiven. But I was supposed to be able to because I was an independent contractor at the beginning of 2000. And I made just enough to qualify for the maximum amount. And I got the maximum amount both times. So good for me. And then I got them forgiven. Good for me. But there are other companies that shouldn't have taken the loans out, but the federal government expended the money paying those companies loans who weren't supposed to get the loans. And then they eventually had to pay them back because they didn't satisfy the requirements, but it ended up screwing up other small business people in the end. My opinion was they should have never done PPP in the first place. They should have instituted UBI, universal basic income to everybody. Instead of giving people increased unemployment, give everybody that same amount of money and not have it count against your unemployment. That way everybody would have had a boost to their income. Chris, exactly. That's why they can't get a decent legal team. Because no attorney is going to want to take him. No attorney is going to want to take him as a client unless he pays up front. So, Surrender Monkey, when Putin falls, Russia will leverage the Trump truth for war, reparation, easement, and also release KFC secret herbs list. I do love the fact that Kentucky Fried Chicken's Twitter account, at least at one point, only followed 11 people. Like, it was like 7 people named Herb and 5 Spice Girls. The Easy E Network. That is technically illegal because you are not allowed to bankrupt a business purposefully to profit, meaning add debt to intentionally bankrupt a business for your benefit rather than the business. But for some reason, leveraged buyouts are okay, and Bain Capital was able to do it with no problem whatsoever. So, while it's technically illegal, it's not technically illegal for them to do it. So while they didn't they might argue that they didn't purposely do it, they still did it. Morality is a component of smart. Trump lacks it, therefore not smart. I would argue that there are probably very intelligent, immoral people. I mean, there are some people who create up some very intelligent schemes. Like I found one on eBay one time dealing with like collectible card games. I was like, how would this person run a scam doing this? And I figured it out because maybe I'm smarter, but I was able to figure it out and I caught them. But they were able to scam. They were probably scamming people left and right before I figured it out, and then eBay continued to let them do it with their alternate account, and they wouldn't stop them from that point on. So I really miss Chi-Chi's the best chimichanga. Absolutely. Chunker John, corporations are not people, my friends. Well, they shouldn't be considered as people. Unfortunately, Republicans like to treat corporations as people more than they like to treat infants as people. See, Surrender Monk. I once got fired for building a pretend guitar out of scrap wood with marker pen strings and serenading other workers, misuse of company property, and being late every day for 3 years. It was probably the latter. Yeah, same story as Toys R Us is here. Yeah, similar, absolutely similar stories, but I like using the Bain Capital one because that was big during the Mitt Romney presidential run. And that's the one that I kind of learned the most. Yeah, Hugger, I love Red Lobster biscuits. We actually have the gluten-free version of Red Lobster's biscuits, their mix that they sell in the store, and it's actually pretty darn good. Shockingly enough, the gluten-free version, you can't tell the difference. Citizen United is why Harlan Crow owns a SCOTUS. Yep. Tara Dublin lost her job because of Bain Capital. Yep. Narcissists can often be highly intelligent, which makes them dangerous. Exactly. Unfortunately, there is one narcissist that's not very intelligent at all. He just happens to be a good scam artist, and he wants to be president again. So Dean Baker, I love imagining names for business. Me too. And there are times where I've seen businesses and it's like, this is a great name for a business, and then I'm like, this person missed the boat. This person had the great opportunity to name their business something good, and they didn't. Like, there was somebody who was a perfect pet sitter, and it was PERFECT, pet sitter, but the logo was a cat, so why didn't you say it was a perfect pet sitter, PURRFECT, pet sitter? Because your logo is a cat, so why not make it perfect? Like a cat purrs? Like, come on. You missed the opportunity. Of course, earlier today I was at TJ Maxx because we need new luggage, and they had what was it called? It's like my mind doesn't even want to tell me what it was called. Let me bring it up on my phone because I need to look up the picture. It was called Only the Tips. It's like just the bottom tip of an ice cream cone with chocolate in it. Only the tips. They didn't call it just the tips. They called it only the tips. Why would you not call it just the tips? Just bothers me. If I open a trucking company to move grain, it would be called Hall & Oates. Nice. There's the one, I think one of the best ones I saw was a grass company. It was a grass company, and it was called Marquis de Sade, S-O-D. I'm like, that's just great. Perfection only occurs in your lap and if the cat on the cat's terms. True. If I open a restaurant, it will be called No Onions. See, I always thought it would be funny if they named a restaurant the Black Hole, and then they go, let's go to the Black Hole, and the others are like, nice. You have to order something called escape velocity or something to get out. There'd be a whole bunch of nerdy puns I would make if the restaurant was called the Black Hole. Have a very dense dessert and have it called the Chandrasekhar limit or something. Because it'd be so dense it would turn you into a black hole. Or something. Hair salon near me called Curl Up and Die. That's great. There was one time we were in Knoxville, I think, and there was like Abacus Consulting Company, and I forget what their slogan was, but it wasn't "You can count on us," and I was like, you fools. Why was your slogan not "You can count on us"? You're a freaking Abacus Consulting Company. There was one time we were driving downtown in Baltimore when I was in high school, and there was a Hyman construction company, and I was like, I didn't think you could do that. But maybe it was just that guy's last name. I don't know. Probably. I guess this is going to make me have to look up best business names. This actually brings up one of my things that I pick on Disney about all the time, is that their creative team is called Imagineers, but it's spelled E-E-R-S at the end and not E-A-R-S. And I'm like, come on, everything around you uses ears, the Mickey ears as a logo. Why wouldn't you call them Imagineers E-A-R-S? That drives me absolutely bonkers. It might have been. I'm gonna go to Reddit. Reddit, what's the most clever business name you've ever heard? A lingerie shop called Brief Encounters. A landscaping company called Lawn Enforcement. There's a restaurant called I Don't Care. So when somebody asks where do you want to eat and you go, I don't care, they're like, great, let's go. Oh yeah, there was a restaurant in New Orleans, I think it was more of a pop-up, and it was a pho restaurant, and it was Pho King. And I'm like, that's just perfect. Jeff, I need to wash dishes. I think I'll say here, I can finally wash dishes in the dishwasher because our dishwasher finally works. Yay! See, there is a tradition in salon naming that requires you to consider at least one hair pun before naming a salon anything else. There's a tire shop in this person's town called Skid Marks. Somebody in this comment thread actually mentioned a hair salon called Curl Up and Die. Let's see. Chinese restaurant called Wok and Roll. Roto-Rooter, our business is going down the drains. Yeah. There is a River Parish disposal company here. It's one of the trash collection companies in the area, and their logo is "Our business stinks, but it's picking up." Clearview window cleaners. Smart. A dog grooming place called Indiana Bones in the Temple of Groom. I think that one wins. That's awesome. A Dairy Queen in Illinois put a burger place next to it as a Burger King. Well, before the franchise, there's no Burger King franchise in the area. Nice. I think I have heard of that. Cox Electric, let us remove your shorts. That's awesome. Well, we do have Cox Communication. And like, so if you have an email address with Cox Cable, like if I had an email address, it would be like dzimmerman@cox.net. That would be like that would be an email address if I still had a Cox email address with Cox. So, one of my friends had their cable, and they made their email address iStare. So the email address is istare@cox.net. So, hilarious. Anyway, I think we've gotten to the point of the show where we're gotten to the silly stuff, and I think we've covered all the topics I want to talk about today, and I have a couple things I want to do tonight before I hit the hay. So, I think we're going to go ahead and make this an end of make this the end of this week's show. I am going to Atlanta this weekend. I'll be back sometime Sunday, early Monday morning, but there should be a show Memorial Day, so there should be no interruption in next week's broadcast. But thank you everyone for tuning in today for this week's episode of Liberal Dan Radio. Talk from the left. That's right. Again, we will more than likely be back Monday, 8 p.m. Central. If there's any change to that, I will definitely let you know. But usually same bat time, same bat channel. I probably won't start a new game until Monday, so I'm not going to worry about that until after Memorial Day. But if I do have one, I'll probably start it right before the show and let you know what the link is. So all have a good long weekend. Until next week, this is Dan Zimmerman from Liberal Dan Radio. Talk from the left. That's right.